Good morning, everyone. It's me, Suze Pratt, coming to you with a documentation of evidence concerning the events of February 20th, 2019. The property tax people were standing outside the house when I busted them, and they said, "Our taxes are going up again." And I said, "But what about the vacant property next door, or the two homes on Royal Avenue in Ferguson that have been sold on the courthouse steps for under $5,000. And you know what the lady said? "Why should I believe you?" This is the second time this has been said to me. It was also said to me by U.S. Bank, Larry Whalen. Why would I believe you? Well, here again, the question is to the authorities. Why do you not believe us when we have proof? So let me bring it into evidence. This is back in August 2018. Alrighty then. We got the beginning of week 4 since the city has come to take care of their obligation on this vacant property located at 20 Royal. Here's Lovey. And it's disgusting. So let's just check it out. Now, of course, here's my driveway. And then we see the large weeds come in. And look at this. Now we've got over 7-inch high weeds overtaking all the landscaping. See, that's just not cool. I mean, we could all get over here, me, Joe, Carol, Dan, and probably even old Krabby Bill. And I bet I could get Nick up here. I could probably even get Jamie and Joe Schaefer. You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, yeah, Jamie and Joe, man. Y'all live right down the street, right down there. Remember, $250,000 house? You don't like messes like this on Royal? How come you don't come up here? And let's pull all these weeds, man. Let's pull all the weeds off the bushes. Let's just get rid of the weeds. Let's mow the grass. And let's throw all the shit. Like I was saying. Oh, come on. You're going to give me the business? Really? So like I was saying, what would be wrong with a bunch of us neighbors getting together, pulling these weeds, throwing them in the backyard where it's even messier than out here, and do what everybody wants. Just make it look good from the front. That way nobody will know. You know what other idea I like? I like security composting. Why not put weeds all in front of the windows so nobody breaks in them? Welcome, Harsh Kumar Mishra. I'm on top of my Jeep. How do you like this for a foreclosed property next to my house? I mean, this is all over the world, see? People don't think it happens here in these United States of division, but sure as anything, it sure does. And I'm coming to you from the ghetto in Ferguson, Missouri. Everybody knows about Ferguson, you know. Gotta go back to the Mike Brown story, Soros, DOJ, all these bullshit fines that they hit people on. Good morning, out of mind. Hey, thanks for recently subscribing, by the way. And this is your ex-house? Appreciate it. Guess what? You're exempt. That means you don't have to play by the rules. So, I'm just getting my little documentation. If I go too far, I get the yellow bar. Bless your heart and thank you. Now, of course, this isn't our responsibility, but here again, it should be the responsibility of the homeowner that abandoned the property to give the funds to whoever, because as far as the city of Ferguson's legal agreement, pink slip, it sure did say that they would charge the homeowner. So they've already got their, I mean, they're good to go, man. But the other day, the utilities got shut down in there, so now there's no porch light. It even becomes more dangerous. Oh, and just more ugly. Really sad, isn't it? These are in good communities all over the planet. I say give these houses to homeless people. Let them fix them up. I mean, why go through the song and dance and act like anybody really cares when there's people dying on the streets? I don't know. Well,
In Illinois, here,
I guess it's time to get off the Jeep.
let me see this. Seriously, I'd like to hear about it. In Illinois, the bank or mortgage holder is responsible for the property upkeep. Very sad indeed. Let me finish this video out and I'll make a statement that pertains directly to your statement, which is absolutely true.
I got my sweet baby with me, Lovey. Wonder if I can give you a shot of the big yellow house. See, and here's where I live. Of course, we're adjacent to Florissant Road and Chambers, and the Little Caesars with no emergency exit. That's gotta make you feel safe in a town where all sorts of shit pops off, right? I say you need more than one door. Bad guys come. You need a door to skedaddle out of. Right, Lovey? Right. Oh, come on. Give me my green bar. This is, come on. I can't believe. Alright, so I get a green bar inside the Jeep. That's nice. You coming inside, Lovey? Let me show you this sweet cat. You know, the other day, my nemesis, Sir Chantelot, got him a black rescue cat. Angie Brewer. Hi, sweetheart. Documenting the vacant property next door the city won't maintain. Isn't that nice? I mean, if you work for the city, I guess you get by with anything, don't you?
Yep.
I mean, write a bunch of bad checks, get all involved with a bunch of monkey business up in here, in this political nightmare fiasco. Right, Lovey? But yeah, some people get away with anything. Like I was saying, some people get away with anything. You ready to go inside, girl? And then, of course, there's people like me that we're not even doing anything wrong. Like I was saying. Oh, you gonna give me the yellow bar again? I'm green, I'm yellow. Isn't that terrible? Low network. I'm right across from 5G hell over here at AT&T. You're telling me I don't got enough bandwidth? Bullshit.
On the top of a hill.
If I even turn my phone towards dopey AT&T, I don't have enough bandwidth. Bullshit. At the top of a hill? My kid's not even home gaming. Oh. Alright, I can stand at my house and point the phone. Well, yeah, isn't that a simple thing? See? There's the messy Bessie yard. Nobody gives a shit about. There's Dinkus. Look at that sweet cat. It's my babies. Alright. You going in, love? Come on. Alright, y'all.
Okay, so I'm going to turn that off and let's talk about these laws. So, in this property in particular, the homeowners were both Ferguson City employees, believe it or not. And Megan, the wife, was the one who was fired after the Mike Brown hoopla for writing some bad checks. Now, these two took off to Kansas City because the heat was too much here in Ferguson, no doubt. And we've got a major political thing going on with Kansas City and St. Louis and that ridiculous high-speed rail. So anyhow, they abandoned 2 properties, not just one. So the house next door was on the market for $78,000. Their original loan was $163,000. Then they put another house into it. So they blew out of Ferguson with about 250,000 debt on houses they could pay for. But no, they take off and start a new cush life in Kansas City. I'm sure it was all arranged with the DOJ because we know how involved they were, not just here in Ferguson, but all over the place with the debauchery and the three-letter agencies. So, in the meantime, yes, technically, when a house goes into foreclosure. So, I've been dealing with this next door for over 2 years now, while they keep taking my property taxes up. And originally, it was the homeowner until the house foreclosed, then it was the bank. Well, the bank didn't feel like paying for it either because this is not on the list of homes that they're looking to sell. And they have a game they play where if they want, they hold back on these and they sell them in these bundles to some other jackass. And allegedly that's what's going on with the home next door. So, since the last year, the bank has come out 3 times. They always send suspicious characters, and the first time they just mowed the front yard. Now, what we're talking about, and this is actually a crime, is the mailmen aren't supposed to have to walk on dangerous sidewalks or curbs. It's a huge deal. When you look at their front walkway, the bricks are not even in place. They're dangerous. Yes, you could trip and break your ankle easily. And the mail people, because there was men and women, neither of any of them chose to walk on that brick pathway. They'd rather walk in 2-foot-high weeds. I mean, that's how bad it is. So absolutely the bank is supposed to do that. The second time they came, they sent someone in to photograph the weeds and the long branches that we cut down, like they're going to threaten us. I mean, what are you supposed to do if no one maintains the property and you're worried not only about the mosquitoes, because believe me, you don't even want to know the kind of crap that flies over the fence. Hi, Trish. Good morning. So, the second time they came, they photographed the weeds and the debris that we cleaned up and put in the backyard our own selves. And I will not hide from that. And I expect that there should be some kind of an answer why that was never even cleaned up. Now, the third time, which was recently, they sent 2 guys out and they spent the day and removed all the weed trees from the perimeter of the 4-fence line. And so, of course, this fence, which is now in the hands of a vacant property with a non-owner, if you have all these weed trees growing up, well, it's going to knock that fence down, isn't it? And then you're going to have major crime. And we're right off 2 very dangerous roads, which would be Chambers and Florissant Road. It's a very hardcore area. Just down the street, McClure South's football coach was shot at. He lived. His girlfriend was also injured. They hit a light pole. This is about a half-mile down the street from here. And you wonder, where could the shot have been fired from? Was it inside a home? Well, right by the Berkeley police station, there are no residential homes, so that answer is no. And of course, they have no suspects. And don't they have a $1 million camera system on the new $1 million police station? We believe they do. But there was no footage. And so either you're assuming that the shots came from that parking lot or was a drive-by. And that's what we deal with in Ferguson. when I do my shows and you hear the continual sirens and ambulances, I always say they're going to get donuts. And I just leave it at that. So it is pretty dangerous where I live. And to me, since I've lived here my whole life in North County, it really doesn't freak me out. And like I said, my dad was a cop my entire childhood. So I saw it all. I grew up on a highway. I learned to cross a highway to get on a bus to go to the city with my grandmother, you see? So this is normal for me. But we bought this house 10 years ago for $99,000. And now they're saying, that the house is worth $126,000. But see, this is all going to go back. I lived in downtown York, PA, dead body around the, oh, yeah. So as they systematically pick off residents of an area that they're going to occupy, if you're in an area where the majority of the houses are in foreclosure or vacant, which many places around the United States and the world are now, well, they have plans for it. And North County has been in a destruct mode since Pruitt-Iago, the projects, back in the 1950s. I mean, 2 decades before they ever did desegregation. So this is absolutely a war zone. And the people that are here, like I said, they're really good people. But when you have corrupt local government, which runs rampant in St. Louis, and currently what they're getting ready to do, I think it's on March 5th, is push through a vote where they combine the county and the city. And St. Louis actually has an archive. You were an abstractor for 18 years. MERS was a mortgage destructive. Yes, destruction by design, absolutely. Tag it, girl. But we realize now that these banks aren't even solvent. And I'll tell you something else. Let me give you some hot off the plate gospel gossip. Okay, so 2 weeks ago we saw Wells Fargo go offline. And the excuse that was given was that a microwave bag of popcorn burnt up or blew up in the microwave and knocked out their system, which we know is a crock. But anyhow, last week my friend was over, and while I was doing her hair, we were dishing, and she told me, oh yeah, microwave popcorn, sure. But my friend Tammy, who is a wealth management person, very high up in the banks, said that when the new system comes on, the funds are going to go right back into Wells Fargo. And I said, shit, man, you know how many people that's going to piss off? But here again, does it really matter? And so, herein with the point of this video, oh yeah, serious action. But see, St. Louis, as silly as it sounds, honest to God, we really are the home of the Manhattan Project and of all these experiments. They had some meeting in 1917 where they hammered it all out. And, pretty much St. Louis, to be honest, is nothing but the pharmaceutical capital of the United States at this point. We have Pfizer here grabbing up all the water. And we also have Bayer Monsanto, which is really bad. And of course, everybody begs for these people to be gone. Get rid of them. I mean, they're banning these people across the world, but not here in St. Louis, you see, because we're home base. And of course, when you go back to the idea that St. Louis is allegedly the second most dangerous city to live in St. Louis. Well, the way they figure that they can resolve these things is by building a new multi-million dollar stadium or redoing the arch or rebuilding the city. But I keep saying, who has the money to spend? And to be honest, I've seen too many global concerts to even believe for a half a moment that we need to have concerts in metal buildings or by toxic land waste dumps or in casinos. So, as much as I love music, you will not find me, thank you, you will not find me wasting my money going to a concert where it offends my spirit to even be in there. So, I feel very strongly about this. Now, the other thing with St. Louis that you always have to keep in mind that technically we are a divided state. I'm talking about Missouri. So half of it was pro-slavery, half was free. But how can that be if we've been indentured servants since 1871? It makes no sense. So now, besides being servants that aren't allowed to work, well, we have to pay more and more taxes, and the interest rates go up higher and higher in the banks. We all know where this is going. So at this point, even though I had a great credit score and always pay my bills, I'm paying 25.43% interest on a charge card from my business that was ripped away from me in 2015. Exactly. Same issues here in Louisiana, industrial, almost tax exempt. That's why it really bothers me about all these special interest groups that we're supposed to be politically correct for. Their main objective is to become tax exempt. I mean, even if it's a religion like chanters, we were discussing that yesterday. And being a small business person my entire life, I was always harassed that I didn't pay my fair share of taxes or that somehow I was cheating on my write-offs, which was never the case. So I know a lot of people, and I didn't either. I would never look at that as being targeted. I mean, there's way more serious things. But when you are a simple, lower middle class person, and I don't mean any disrespect to myself or anyone else in this situation, I also remember myself, well, it was my junior year, the beginning of my junior year at Luther North, 1980. And my sociology teacher told us at that time that the middle class was being erased as we were growing up, and that it was going to split off into a lower middle class and an upper middle class. So back to business, believe it or not, your business is thought of as a joke if it makes under six figures. And I gotta tell you, I didn't feel like a joke making $53,000. I was able to raise my kids. I mean, I had, I'm not a materialist, so I didn't need a lot, but I had what I need. And now I don't have what I need. And to be 55 years old, yes. And, in Ferguson, they told me I would never live and work in this town. And like I explained yesterday, I really thought it was just a hair shop politics in a one-horse town. But now to realize that the Catholic Church owns my home, and I knew I never owned it, and I knew we'd never pay it off, and I even knew that we don't own the land because of no land patent, of course. Well, you can see how this all plays out. So I will be appealing in May. And of course, once you do that, you go right into the devil's den. There you are. in their court with their bureaucracy and with their bullshit. And I already know I'm on the list. So I'm going to have to get pretty serious now, and it might not be that interesting, but you will see me begin to kick up a bunch of these videos that pertain to 20 Royal, which is my next door neighbor. And I'll start logging in all that evidence and sequence. I do have a playlist called, what the hell is it called? Let's go see. Zip over to YouTube real quick. Okay, playlist. It's called Ferguson Fun and Facts. So, of course, here again, I mean, I'm sure you're all aware of the Mike Brown incident. But what happened, and this is wild, the very day that I was talking to Single Platform, which is the company that took all my paper information and arranged it in a online format. Because like I said, I was completely computer illiterate by choice. I mean, to run a business, you don't need a damn computer. Just like the girls across the street at the bank know. They ran banking longer than they did not with paper and pen and pencil and file cabinets, and they did a hell of a lot better job. So, as soon as the new system goes up, everybody loses their job at the banks, and people like me don't do indoor banking anymore. Once we're forced online with this, we're fucked. That'd be the only cuss word I say. All right, so back to Mike Brown. First off, the video footage was so grainy. The whole thing was spellcast. And he even prophesied to an old man that lived next to his grandma to not be angry when things came to pass. So, we have that. And then this jackass right here is Darren Wilson. This guy.
5 days after clashes with police, looting, and arson erupted, following a grand jury decision not to indict Wilson for the shooting of teenager Michael Brown last summer.
Now, what is
Wilson's attorney appeared on Fox
WSJ?
Decided to resign, Chris, because we got information yesterday directly from the chief in Ferguson.
I wouldn't want to get hit with a copyright. I'm running 2 voice streams.
Going to be acts taken against either members of the department or the department itself related to his continued employment. And when Darrell was told that, he simply said, "That's enough."
In his resignation letter, Wilson said he
What a jackass.
to put residents and police officers of Ferguson at risk. Residents expressed mixed reactions to Wilson's resignation.
At this point, everybody's going to be upset anyway. Everybody's going to feel the way they feel. I'm upset. I have a 16-year-old son. It could have been him. I feel that we absolutely.
It's every one of our kids. That's what drives me crazy about ego. Somebody gets pissed when it's their kid, but they don't get pissed when it's their friend's kid. Or their kid's friend. You know what I mean.
Protesters continuing their
This is where I live.
Brown's shooting. Faced off with National Guard troops stationed outside Ferguson police headquarters.
We had martial law
2 people were arrested after the announcement.
right here at the corner where I live.
Protesters carried their message to holiday shoppers, parading through shopping malls around Ferguson on Black Friday.
This is the Galleria,
Similar Black Friday demonstrations
which is a well-to-do mall.
with protest groups following suit in Portland, Oregon, Chicago,
Yeah.
and New York
Yeah.
City.
2014. This is when I came online, Trish. Absolutely. Okay, now, hang on just a second. Because this is my video. And I can say whatever the hell I want, right? Okay, so this is my video. Love letters to Ferguson. Let me not talk over myself. This was one of the very first videos that I did. And, of course, I was told by city officials, that that would be the absolute wrong thing to do. These were also the very people that told me I would never live and work in their town. So you can see why I did what I did. I had to speak up. And, you know, you would think that people would have been okay by that or stood by me. But the embarrassment of admitting that you live in an undesirable place was something that they couldn't really handle. And I think a lot of people that still live in St. Louis, where I live, you lost your job for it, right? You know what? I need to go out and try to get a job, Trish. And it's going to be funny to document it and see why they won't hire me. Because I already know what's coming for me. But I'll play the game and I'll see. So, I took a lot of heat after I made this video. And I think that that's probably what drew someone like Randy Moggins, who really shouldn't have known me. I mean, because here again, I was a big nobody. No presence online. But all of a sudden, people were there in my face. So, let me turn you on to this. I've been living with my son for the time being. You're leaving Louisiana. You know, people are leaving everywhere they're at. I mean, I see it with all my friends and fellow broadcasters. And I think, what the hell am I doing still here? You know, why am I being left? But that's irrelevant.
Somebody pouring your heart out, leaving a trail for all to see. Surely we all hope for the best, yet the fear of the answer back, rejection, ridicule, or even worse, public disclosure and humiliation.
While I run this video, I'm going to make a call and get that on tape too, so you will hear me talking in the background.
It's also for those who call me their enemy. It was a year ago when, within 24 hours of each other, Mike Brown was slain, and I came online for the first time in my life. The rest is history. From this time forward, a great separation occurred, literally on every level. People were asked to choose between two sides. I didn't do that. So, in celebration of Mike Brown's life, I want to share the story that I heard on Channel 2 News the evening of Sunday, August the 10th. Oh, it's hard to tell, guys. Alright, so there was an old man that lived in the apartment complex where Mike Brown's grandmother lived. And, you know, they knew each other over the years and would say hello. So, on the day of the incident, Mike had been talking to this old man, and the old man wasn't really quite sure what he was talking about, but Mike was saying to him, don't be angry about the things that are going to come to pass that happen. You're going to be tempted to be angry. The devil is going to be tempting you. But I tell you, don't be angry. Be and be not afraid. Because Jesus will be walking with you. So, after Mike Brown said those words, the story is that he walked down the street and the old man wasn't watching. He looked down. So, when the shots rang out, the old man didn't see what happened. And he was anonymous on the news that evening because he was terrified of what would happen to him for speaking up. So, This story was aired only one time. But what I want to do is work with you guys on a way that I problem solve. And it's the thesis, antithesis, synthesis scenario. So you know you have two sides. Each one has a different strong viewpoint that is true for them. And then there's a blending because we all live in a society where we have to be together. So let's go over this. The thesis would be the faith in that elder's testament, the prophetic message by Mike Brown, is a probability. The antithesis would be, well, that he allegedly stole some things and maybe he was on marijuana, maybe he was high. The synthesis is absolute and utter chaos and the destroying of families, communities, friends, police, servants, and city workers. And none of us want that. We love everyone. So, that's our first look at something in a calm, intelligent manner. Okay. Now, justifiably so, our community of choice has felt every negative emotion about being under the white hot spotlight, you know, the media and the world and the judgment. We're being portrayed as dangerous and undesirable, even a war zone. So, let's look and see what we have here. We have the thesis, which is fear, anger, and guilt is pervading. And there is going to be hell to pay. The antithesis of this goes with the Wingmaker's philosophy of the 6 heart virtues, which are appreciation, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, humility, and valor. And the synthesis of these two things is called the biology of belief, and that is Bruce Lipton's groundbreaking work in the scientific proof that we do create our reality by what we believe. So the question is, the individual, and what's called the mass mind, or even scarier than that, the overlord. How about that for a story? Okay.
Out of Mind. Ladies, have a great day. Oh, love you too, Out of Mind. Thank you very much.
It is not.
And you know what's funny?
In my
At this point in 2015, I had no clue that I was working with what was called the Hegelian dialect. You know, I guess since I didn't have the college degree, I didn't have that proper terminology. But the way I've survived my life is by working things out on paper and going through this process. You know, what someone else says is my fate. What my facts, figures, and statistics support my life, my experience, and then the outcome should be in the middle. But it has never worked out that way for me, to where it balances back into the middle. Too many things have been lost. And at this point, of course, we know what's coming with the taxes this year. And I just wanted to prove a little point to myself, which is, even if you've given somebody your business for 35 years, I'm talking about one tax place, Ace Bookkeeping and Tax. Well, they can't take care of me now. Right. And she's union, and I don't know, I guess it's just come to blows, but I haven't even made enough this year to pay taxes. But if you don't pay taxes, then they come take your house. And it's that whole setup. So what are we going to do as Americans when it comes to our taxes this year? Well, I don't know, but I'm already living that one too. Just needed to log it in. Terrible.
What if you did the research, for example, and awoke to the fact that there is an invisible weaponry, a technology that was first used on the military that proved helpful in agitating their state of mind? It manipulated them. It made them not feel so guilty about the disposal of civilians, women, and children when they were at war. So, pointed into a crowd atop an armored vehicle, this technology is similar to how a microwave works. And via the satellite on the vehicle, that energy heats everybody up, just like you heat up your cup of soup in the nuclear oven in the microwave in the kitchen. I don't use a microwave my own self, but that's cool. So, if you understand what happens in a microwave could happen to the water in a human's body, I mean, can you see how good, peaceful people on both sides of the fence could turn into lunatics, acting before they even think? Now, I've lived in North County in St. Louis, Missouri my entire life, and I'm 51 years old. And I guess it was about a decade ago, I came across some reading that says that St. Louis sits on a ray of unconditional love called the third cosmic ray. We're also aware by now that there are sacred sites all across the earth, key ley lines, vortexes, pyramids, and mounds are the most sought after, fought over places for good reason. Check this out. Okay, so in this thesis, we have revival in 4 Missouri cities: St. Louis, Kansas City, Jefferson City, Carthage. And what this bottom reference is to Elizabeth Clare Prophet's book, Saint Germain on Alchemy, and that's what talks about the third cosmic ray, St. Louis, Missouri, unconditional love. Now, the antithesis of that is what a lot of people worry about when they don't worry about what's going on in their town, and that's global depression, false flag operations, Monsanto, forced vaccinations, a comet or a meteorite, and Jade Helm. The synthesis would be as above, so below. Individual reality manifesting. Bless our hearts, forgive us, we don't know what we're doing. But now we do, so we can fix this problem. Dark forces work in the shadows to oppress and control. These forces can be simple physical things of this world, they can also be astral things. You know, they behave like parasites, feeding until there's nothing left, which is really disgusting. Like I said, I've lived here all my life. So 30 years ago, my grandmother and I lived in the duplexes near the apartment complex where Mike Brown took his last breath. Back then, I had just begun my professional career as a hairdresser. 8 years ago, we relocated to Ferguson to be free and start a new chapter in our never-ending story. It was not by chance that we were cast into a role where we would disclose these facts. Just by existing here and wanting to participate in volunteerism, in business and commerce, and in friendship and community. Surely I really don't expect the 1% who blacklisted me to recant their judgment or their sentence for our non-compliance, which we're not supposed to talk. I've been told that my whole life. Don't talk or I'm going to get in trouble. I just ask that whomever it is doesn't want to come kill this messenger when it comes to my witness, because we are all free to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, let's look at this piece of paper. I made these early in the morning. We have our thesis, which would be isolate, exterminate, silence, and ignore. Put a fence around Ferguson is what somebody said on Facebook the other day. You know, but for real, it's almost looks like it's a closed community with an award-winning, playful city kind of place. So there is two strong opposing forces, and we'll be going into that in detail as we go along. The antithesis would be, like I said, the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. What's that say? 12. Not 12. Is attainable in America's most dangerous city. If you can have peace here, you can have it across the globe, right? That's my antithesis. And then the synthesis would be that the issue proved to not be black and white from our experience. And where else but in St. Louis, in your own hometown, could you have a white girl blacklisted by a few white folks and a token? Nationwide and globally, August 2nd was deemed the National Day of Forgiveness by online social media. This was confirmed by a blue full moon on the 31st of July, and you know how much excitement there was on Facebook and YouTube about that, so I know you guys are hip to what I'm saying. You know, wise ones say that humanity is experiencing the final release of letting go what no longer serves us. Clarity is in order to bring peace, harmony, and balance. If the choice is fear, those who choose fear participate in the collective, dramatic response
to false impressions. When we choose love and the 6 heart virtues, we exist as the Creator's clarity upon the earth. I heard that just last night, and I thought that was the most beautiful statement. So, in closing, I want to show you something. Last one. Now, this is from the book Dynamic Freedoms. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do something that I can do. And that was written by Edward Everett Hale. He was a mid-20th century chaplain in the United States Senate. So, tune into my channel, Sue's Pratt, on YouTube for more of my love letters to Ferguson. That would be Sophia's Emporium now. And I thank you for your support and your time and your heart brain. I like to say namaste. And with that, peace, love, and light from the big yellow house on the 3rd Cosmic Ray, St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you. And that's how it all began, way back then. And of course, you really wouldn't think you'd distance so many people doing a good work, but people change, I guess, you know, and along the way, I think so many people lost themselves that it really irritated them seeing me. I mean, I'd always known myself, but no, they don't want me to tell my story. And it could really shut down the whole system. It's kind of like when I came online and the first thing I was accused of is being a data hacker or an artificial intelligence. In this, you know, they've been talking about scripts a lot, and I know that I have fault there too, because I know that they're working off a script, which would be data. See, scripts are data. It's not like there's some guy in an easy chair writing all this bullshit down and we gotta play it out. So, if everything that I have in my experience proves a case that could shut it down, well, now I get my whole life. So, the other day, when I was dealing with Channer, and he said like something like, oh, don't feel bad. And I said, no, I don't. I feel empowered. See, that's that reverse psychology that was used on me my entire life. And that's why I respond to it in the way I do. I don't really feel like I'm argumentative. I feel like I have plenty of information to back the truth that this is an attack on all of us. I'm just the girl that happens to have 30 years of files and proof and paper. So, yeah, they don't want me to tell my story. And of course, the next step is to get me out of this house. Now, fortunately, my son is an adult. I don't have to worry about him as a kid anymore, and I've raised the other 2 girls. But especially when you don't have family and you don't have your business, well, where am I? Am I on the streets? Am I in a national park where I can't go anymore? And I don't mean to sound like a crybaby about it, but, you know, for example, 3 doors down from here, in the house that was ripped away from a hoarder and given to the church so they could turn around and give it to someone allegedly in need. And then nobody lives in it because it's too filthy. Well, you know, I'm not calling the cops on the homeless people that are living in there now. There's no way. But, of course, you run danger there, too. Either way it goes, I'm screwed on Royal Avenue. So, I guess that's the end of my little deal today. And, of course, the paperwork and the battles that are going to come over the next couple months are really going to be a major pain in my ass. And there's no way around it. So we'll see if the cavalry comes through or if I gotta repeat some other lifetime. But I do appreciate you guys being here. I'm glad you got to see Love Letters to Ferguson and see a little bit of where I live. Where's safe?